What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Inside Major League Pickleball, the hottest pickleball podcast in the game, which we discuss all the scoops surrounding Major League Pickleball, the game, the best players around, the most fun players around. Small hint to who the guest is today. But first, before we dive in, a quick shout out to our sponsors. Pro XR, the official paddle of Major League Pickleball, the only paddle custom fit for your grip. Knock Around, the official sunglasses of MLP, quality shades that won't break the bank. Or Organic, the official nutrition partner of Major League Pickleball. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition from Aura. And last but not least, Franklin, the official ball of MLP. The Franklin X40 delivers the best in-game flight out of any ball on the market. We are joined, as always, every week with my counterparts, starting with former pro and Olympic volleyballer, future pro pickleballer Casey Patterson, Father Nature, pickleball fashionista, four-time Survivor contestant, college swimmer, animal whisperer, former pro cyclist Tyson Apostle. I'm Michelle McMahon, the former D1 volleyballer, current sportscaster, pickleball's feistiest ginger, still looking for another point of contention there. And we are thrilled now to be joined by Major League Pickleball's favorite player in the game. I'm coming out to say it because she stole the show in season 1 as the MVP. She steals the show every time she's on the court, really. Let's be honest. She also shared with us before this, she likes short walks to the fridge, perhaps long walks on the beach. Strategic advisor for DUPR, board member of WIPA, the Women's International Pickleball Association. She is the legendary Lee Whitwell. We are thrilled to be joined by you today, Lee. Thank you so much for coming on. First question for you. What is your journey to pickleball? Everyone has a unique story to the sport, and that's what I like to lead in with every podcast.
Mine was bribery, actually. I fought playing pickleball for a very long time, and we just moved to Bend, Oregon. And my friend Lisa Palcic had asked me to play in a tournament. I said yes, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, it's not tennis." I'm like, "Well, why are you asking me to play?" Like, that heavy tennis background, right? And she's like, "It's pickleball," and I'm like, "Yeah, why would I play something my grandma would play?" And we went back and forth, and she begged and begged and begged, and I'm like, "You can beg all you want, it's not happening." And the dark realization hit me that I always knew I had a price, right? I mean, I can be bought. Everyone has a price. Like if you say, I'm going to give you $8 million, I'm like it with my dad and the wine cellar with the broomstick. I guarantee. Throw him under the bus, right? Everybody. My price was $19.95 a case of Coors Light. So apparently I'm very cheap.
So did they Venmo you $19.95 or bring a case of beer for you?
You know, she has not given me that case of beer.
And what is her name?
Lisa Palcic. She's up in the Northeast.
Okay, right, Lisa Palcic, we're coming for you in that case of beer. It's probably double the price now.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, stepped on the court, didn't know the rules, had a blast, and haven't looked back since. From being a tennis purist to loving every aspect of the game and even the grind to coming into this maybe at a later time in life. You know, I came into the sport in my early to mid 40s and maybe looking at it through a different lens, but seeing the fun and the community building aspect of it that pickleball has bred and the socialness of it, you know, not only the competitiveness and obviously, you know, playing pro and being able to play pro at this stage in my life. I never thought I would have a second pro career, but here we are. But more on the rec level, right? And what it's doing for communities and people, and you know, it's very cliche, but I feel like pickleball saved a lot of lives.
Seriously,
what was the one thing that kept you from coming from tennis for so long? Did you know about pickleball leading up to that first time playing? And what was the thing that kept you from going? Was it just because it felt like a funny rec sport that was goofy for old people? You know what I mean? That's why I didn't do it. But I mean, I was really wrong.
No, I mean, the thing is like everyone said, it's like, oh, pickleball is loud, it's obnoxious, old people play it, it's not really a sport, it's a plastic ball. So you hear all these things, right? And it's funny because I do now currently live in the villages in Florida, and there's a lot of stories that go around the villages in Florida. And when I give all these speeches and I'm talking to them about DUPR or anything pickleball, I'm like, listen, if we believed everything we heard about the villages, we would not be living here. And they're like, it's true. And I'm like, well, Like if I, and then I catch myself going, why did I believe everything I heard about pickleball instead of going, let me see for myself,
Yeah.
And then the minute you do it, you're like, oh.
Yeah. Like, this is amazing.
So has it taught you to try new things more than in life than just pickleball? Or are you still like, nah? Yeah.
No. Just pickleball.
I mean, no, they're like, hey, you want to, no.
I don't have time for anything else.
I mean, I'm on the court all day long.
That's true. How do you like it down in Florida, and why should we move to the villages?
Because you get to hang out with me all the time, which is a bonus. Casey's pro career will get there a lot faster.
Way faster.
Way faster. I mean, I love it here. It's been a while since I've been on the East Coast. I've spent most of my U.S. based life on the West Coast, and this was it was time to move East Coast. My parents live in Europe, so it's a much easier flight to London than from the West Coast. So, but it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of us over here, and we're fun. So come. That's a terrible plug. I am not a Florida salesperson at all.
I would
do not like Florida.
I would say
I'm sold.
My favorite part about Florida. My favorite part is that my knees feel amazing when I'm in Florida. They don't hurt ever. I'm like, why wouldn't you want this all the time? This is amazing.
That is the biggest thing I tell people. It's like, I love walking out my door and my body's already warm.
It's ready.
Having to ease into the day, right?
Yeah.
What is it? The humidity?
I think it is the heat, the humidity, everything. Because even from California, like, it's okay, but then you go to Florida, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to take ibuprofen. I don't have Voltaren or whatever the cream is all over my entire body. I'm not wearing like a full underbody wetsuit underneath my clothes because my joints hurt so bad. It's amazing.
I mean, it is God's waiting room down here. So maybe it's like the collective fumes of Voltaren and everything that are in the air that just permeate you too. That could be it.
It's absorbing everything.
Wow.
Like everything. You're like,
I feel amazing.
I'm going to check real estate in Florida right now.
Yeah, right.
Lee, I had heard your name pre-Major League Pickleball. You've played APP events, I think, primarily. But Major League Pickleball, I feel that first event really introduced you to the entirety of pickleball fandom. Would you say that is accurate? And how did that change the trajectory of your career?
Yeah, I think it was that first... it was like that song, Allow Me to Introduce Myself. That sort of happened during that whole MLP, that first season. And I mean, AJ and I had history together. We sort of both rose to the podium at the same time. And the only reason I can say that is because we were playing mixed and we got silver. So we were there together. The summer, like a few months prior. And we played a couple of tournaments together. So I was fortunate enough to be drafted onto a great team, and Annalie and I had great chemistry, and obviously AJ and I had great chemistry, and Kyle was a great leader. And they truly were very encouraging of me. And I mean, honestly, I think everyone who's ever seen me play pickleball has known me as a reset person and keeps your partner in the game. And then in the Dream Breaker, all of a sudden I'm hitting ground strokes, and I feel bad for the guys because I don't think any of them knew I could actually hit the ball. They thought it was going to be a drop every time. And then it just kept happening. And the crowds were fantastic, and it brought that college mentality to pickleball, where we've all been part of a team and we all know how to celebrate. A celebration with a team means so much more than you by yourself going, yay, this is great. So you work harder and you want to win for your team and for everybody watching. So it was just this sort of perfect storm of events that allowed me to shine. And it's been a phenomenal ride ever since. And now, on the back end, on the business side of things with DUPR and everything else, being able to help influence the growth of pickleball and affect change in the pickleball space is truly humbling and an honor.
Yeah, you talked about that natural segue for you. So when you think about your life prior to even knowing about the sport pickleball, you were pure tennis, you were through and through that route, to now your entire profession, life has kind of taken this turn towards all pickleball. How would you describe that transition into what you're doing now for DUPR and Major League Pickleball?
It's been like a series of very fortunate accidents, honestly. Like nothing has been planned. Like nothing in pickleball has been planned. it's sort of everything's led into everything. And honestly, it all started, I will say it all started with MLP in November in Dreamland in Austin, Texas. That was the launch pad, and I'm thankful for it.
Is that
So what are you doing?
That's the Thanksgiving story when you go to visit family. Like, oh, what are you doing? How's it going? And that's what you do. It's just Dreamland, Austin, MLP. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing.
And,
yeah,
and then
perfect.
Speaking to a family that's primarily from overseas, you're like pickleball. Like what?
What?
Exactly. It's caused quite a few raised eyebrows at the dinner table. But
you're gonna have your highlight reel on your phone. Like, just watch this. Yeah. See how I passed all these guys. Look at them. They're all like pro tennis players that play pickle. I'm just crushing them. MVP.
Just show them season 1. You're 4 points against Deckel.
Yes, that's all I think about.
I send them Deckel every year on his birthday. Like,
Happy birthday. Merry Christmas.
Remember this? Just remember who your real boss is.
Deckel and Jay get a nice birthday, Christmas present every year. Like any holiday, I'm like, hey, just thinking of you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think you could probably do that on days that aren't holidays or birthdays.
It's just a morning alarm. Good morning.
Yes.
Morning, Deckel.
Morning. Time to wake up. See, Casey, we could have this highlight reel for you if you would just play next with me.
Oh, it would be, the world isn't ready, I don't think. It would be unbelievable. I would have it just on a loop everywhere I went. I'm in. My knees feel better just thinking about it.
And look, if we play Florida tournaments, you will not be in pain.
Yeah. No, I'm in. Done. You just set up the overheads, and I'll take care of it.
Excellent. You guys heard it here first.
Okay. Perfect. Casey and Lee, 2023.
Yes.
I've seen Casey's overheads firsthand. He will dent the ball. He will put a dent in the ball. You know who else isn't bad at pickleball that I played with this past weekend?
Who?
Michelle,
I saw that.
Dude, she has a wicked
Tyson.
two-handed backhand. She kicks her back leg up, too, just like a lot of some of the most...
snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a total... But you know where she learned that? But you actually know... You know who has a better backhand than Michelle?
Who?
Michelle's mom.
Really?
Michelle's mom's got a wicked backhand because I saw it in Michigan.
Kitty cat.
And then
Is that true?
Michelle's backhand, and I'm like, I see the genetic similarities.
Kitty cat. She taught me everything I know, and my dad, taught the drinking side of things. So that's good.
Perfect combo. It's a perfect combo.
Yeah.
Yep.
For the
Lee brought
post
the
game.
beer. Big John took care of that side, and Kitty Cat brought the pickleball. So there's a little fun fact about the McMahon family.
That is a fun fact. But, honestly, her backhand, every time, no matter how you hit the ball, she was going to hit you with a speed up from the backhand at the perfect height every time. I was like, oh, this drive is too good. She's going to pop it. And then she just, right at my feet. And I was like, she's cheating. I don't know how. I'm trying to figure it out.
I
need to take a...
Casey, I feel like they're challenging us.
We are.
I know.
Yes.
It's actually really cute.
That's
you guys
okay.
are adorable. It's adorable.
I just want to be on the same court with Lee, and I'd be happy. But
that's it. We have a match.
On the reset. I think I need to take a page out of Lee's book because I only have one speed to my game, and it's speed it up every single time. So undisciplined.
That's only on your backhand, but you hit it so accurately that it's like, I'm not mad at you.
$100,000. Lee and I challenge you guys to again.
I'm in.
Win and
I
win.
can't afford it. Tyson, you got me covered? Cool, thanks.
If we win, yes. I have you covered if we win.
The win only.
Yeah. Lee, we're talking about this little grudge match thing we have going on. Obviously, we are referencing the Travis Rettenmeyer versus NML Pickleball Challenge, $100,000 on the line. And he was on here last week, and he was very confident that he was going to beat these two gentlemen. I don't know who they are, but my experience has been that it's very difficult to beat two players if you're just one player.
Correct. Especially pro court.
Can Travis win? How does he win?
I would say if the NML guys do not know how to play pickleball,
okay,
the odds are in Travis's favor.
Okay.
However,
yes,
if they know how to play pickleball, and they know how to play pickleball well, the odds are no longer in his favor in a 2-on-1 full court match.
How well do they have to know how to play pickleball where he is not the favorite?
I would say, 4-5 and above.
Okay.
Confidently,
Okay.
I would say that would be a tough match for any pro to go up against 2-4-5 playing 2-on-1. You're covering court.
Yeah. So much court, and they're already there as a wall, dun, 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 putting the ball wherever, making you run. I agree. When I envision it, it's going to be a tall order for Travis, but it will be exciting to watch. And also, will this be a new event in the DUPR lineup, a 2v1? Is that like going to be, once this happens, will there be a new skill set where it's like Tyson's a 1.5 against 2 players? He's very bad when he's himself against 2 players. And vice versa, when it's 2v1, will there be a rating for that too? I'm a 7.
Your new 2 versus 1 rating. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm like a 0.75. Awesome. This is really good.
Negative DUPR ratings. That's on the 2v1.
Yeah, that's on the 2v1, me being the individual.
I mean, I'll practice 2 against 1, but
Yeah.
I'll be on half a court.
Yeah,
and then
same.
I'm just having 2 people work my side of the court because, let's face it, A, I only play singles for 4 points in succession several times a year, not week in, week out. And 2, if I hit the ball across court and you hit the ball down the line, Casey, that is your ball. That is not my ball. That's on your side of the court. So why would I go get it? Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like for me, 2v1, I play it on one half of the court against full court against the other 2 because I'm training the balls to hit.
Yeah.
If they're constantly hitting that ball down the line, that is not my partner's ball. Because if I go get that ball, that is the wrong shot. Because in a match, I would never be stepping in front of my partner to take that ball.
Yeah.
Right there. So I don't know.
Yeah, the angle's available. If he even just drives at me, I'm not returning back at him. I'm just going to go like sharp angle and I have the whole court. And it's going to be impossible to be able to run down.
And you might run it down once. And guess what? Then you got the other angle the other way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he might win on the number of calories burned. Like, I
Ooh,
think
and steps
more
taken.
calories than the other 2, and maybe
Well-
there's a dollar amount there. But
What about this? What if he dials in his lobs and can hit the back corners every single time with a lob?
well, then we're assuming that these guys can't hit overheads, right? Or do not have the physical mobility to move back and take that ball in the air and hit an overhead. And even if he chases it back down, right?
Yeah.
And let's say, you run down and get it and then drop it into the kitchen, you still have another person on the court as your partner to cover some court. It's not singles. You're not out of position. You still have one half of you that's in position. So I don't know. I mean,
I know that the guy on Instagram, one of my favorite accounts, Tropical Pickleball. It's maybe the funniest thing on
I
planet
love it
Earth.
too.
I'm starting to send him clips like, "Ooh, you should do this," because I'm so into it. I'm like, "This is my favorite account ever." And he
I like
posted
that
about
guy
the 2
too.
guys.
Yeah.
He's amazing. But
Tropical ball.
Yeah.
Tropical ball.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. And he was happy that we're saying that. It's a mouthful. He would just, now he's going to make something out of this. Of course. Dang it.
No.
But he posted a video of them playing, like in their so-called 5-0, right? And he kind of heckles them a little bit. But I mean, you watch them and they're good enough to where it's not going to be a rollover for Travis. They know what they're doing. So it's like, it's going to be exciting.
Okay. I'm excited to watch it.
And not a steamroll. It's going to, I mean.
Yeah, either way, it'll be.
There's no.
You don't want it to be awkward. You want it to be close.
Yeah.
Or then everyone's like,
a battle.
"Ugh." It's like a bad kid singing up in church that can't sing on 2, and you're like, I'm invisible. I gotta look away.
And you're like, oh,
Speaking-
at least I tried.
Yeah. Oh,
I feel like
bless
it'll be a
his
fun
heart.
event either way. Clearly, he's got $100,000 to just toss around. Otherwise,
I want Tropical to commentate that match.
That would be.
I already offered my services.
Unedited.
But if Tropical wants to, then I'll just sit there and listen to them talk. 'Cause I do love their content. Talking about Travis Rettenmaier, you were drafted by the Florida Smash earlier this season, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis, again, last week talked about trading and how it's difficult there because there are people and there's feelings and there's this and that. From your perspective, you did get traded. You guys made the finals, almost won, arguably could have won had there been a couple timeouts called. What was your feeling about being traded? Was that a surprise? Was there a conversation, or was it just like, or dropped? You're dropped. We're picking up somebody else. How does something like that go down from a player's side?
Yeah, it's I mean, it wasn't after the Newport event. We all knew something was coming. Our team didn't perform like it was meant to do, and our team chemistry wasn't there like it was a couple of months prior.
What do you attribute that to?
Who knows? Personality, stress, pressure. I don't know. And so we all knew something was coming. And, he did say that he was going to look to trade or drop me. And, he was upfront about it. And I appreciated that. Whether I thought it was the right move or wrong move is irrelevant, right? He's the team captain and owner. So that came down the pipe. But I do think that several players got their feelings hurt in the whole trade draw process. And I think there's ways to go about it. It's not like we're, 6,000 players deep of pro players. We're still a very tight-knit community. We see each other week in, week out at tournaments. And, we're all, we all still need to be friendly and amicable towards each other because there's not that many of us. So it can make things awkward for players at tournaments, and especially when they have no idea it's coming. It's, so as the sport grows and gets bigger, you get dropped. There's like 5 other, 50 other players that can take your place. You get it. But sometimes you look at it going, oh, was that a good replacement for me? Or was that not? Or why that drop didn't make sense. Why would they drop that person over that one? And I think what's going to happen is the ownership group is going to have to understand pickleball maybe a little bit more and look at partnerships, look at who's a right-sided player, who's a left-sided player, who is, whether, sorry, Casey, I'm throwing you under the bus over here. I'm using you as an example, but let's say, Casey's got 17 errors, right? On paper.
That minimum. And I'm left-handed too, Lee, just to throw that out there in case you want to draft me.
I mean, I would draft him over you because I'm a lefty and I need a righty. But, but I mean, if he's got 17 errors, do I look to drop or trade him? Or do I look at those? Do I go back and look at that match and go, yes, he had 17 errors, but it was my fault. I popped up the ball that got him killed 17 times.
Yes.
So those things have to come into it when you don't normally see that. Right. And it's like, I want to know how you perform at a 2018 freeze. Are you going to crumble or are you going to rise to the occasion? Yeah. Those are the things that we got to start to look at now. And also, how are you in a team environment? Are you going to be quiet? Are you going to help be a leader? Are you going to cheer for your team and, and get into it with them and help pull them out? Because, sometimes it's the sheer will of the cheering from your teammates that somehow gets that W for you.
So true.
That makes you find a way. You're like, well, what if we've all been down by a huge deficit. I'm like, what if we get a point? What if we get another one? And all of a sudden now it's like, hey, we're right here. And then you've done it. Right. So I think people are going to have to start looking at that and making much more educated, not guesses, but decisions regarding players. And, because you do have some teams that still had, two left-sided players playing or 2 right-sided players playing. And it's like that you've now crippled one team. Right. Because one person is not used to playing on that other side. So how do we strengthen all 4 matches versus 3 out of the 4,
Yeah. Right.
And I think that's going to be looked at more carefully.
Just a follow up there, Lee, what's the right way from a player's standpoint to handle trades and drops? If you had like an outline guideline for the ownership group of like, hey, here's what we would appreciate from a trade standpoint, from a player standpoint, if you could make the rules there, formalize it.
Like for the players, go on social media, trash the team that's dropping or trading them.
The next hot stove edition.
Yes. Be petty.
Be petty. Super immature.
No, I mean, I think a lot of the times it's hard not to take it personally, but it is personal because it's you. And I think there are some players who understand they're getting dropped because they're like, well, I didn't perform that whole weekend. But if you performed and you're still traded or dropped, you're like, ooh, I don't understand. But let's say, Tyson's a team owner and, he really wants you on his team, Michelle. And, he's like, hey, I'm going to trade you for Michelle. And it's like, he's like, hey, will you accept Lee as a trade or whatever? And, sometimes they're like, well, no, give me the guy as well. So sometimes the guy has to go into that trade to make it happen. So it's a twofer because you only get one trade and one drop.
Oh,
so,
right.
Two people is still one trade. But then so let's say you grabbed Casey and myself, then you could drop one of us. And that's the part where it gets a bit sticky. Like some players were traded and then dropped. And that was like,
that's tough.
Yeah. You're like traded. Okay,
gosh.
great. I'm still playing. And like, oh no, I got dropped.
Yeah. And sometimes that has nothing to do with your level. It's just, they needed that key.
Correct.
They needed that key one of the two to be able to complete their team. So they're like, sorry, this is the best for us.
Yeah.
That could be gnarly. Ooh.
Yeah. So that makes it a little sticky.
I think what you should have done, Lee, was put together those 4 points from Deckel, the Florida Smash, taking down Deckel Bar and advancing to the finals, and said, biggest mistake of your life, Florida Smash. Something petty like that.
I think if it happens again, I'm just going to call you and be like, can you run this for me?
Yeah.
Just
I'll be your PR representative.
The campaign.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll be the
as
petty
an owner,
PR rep.
Yeah. Yes. The petty PR.
I like it. I got it.
Guys, I can be petty too, but we'll let Michelle handle this. I'm the owner in this situation, so now I've just learned that all I have to do is blame the trade on somebody else on the team. Just be like, Lee, we didn't want you to go, but they wanted you with Michelle, and we had to get rid of Michelle.
I would be like, that's fair.
And then we go to Michelle, and we're like, Michelle, we did not want to get rid of you. It was Lee was the problem.
Yeah, but see, the problem there is that Michelle and I talk. Like,
maybe.
and
then I'll be like,
and then
guess what?
Figure out that different stories have been told to Claire,
I didn't think that far in advance.
That's okay.
I was just
and then
thinking,
petty
just
PR rep
in the room, in the
says,
conversation.
It's almost
get it done
like
quick.
we need like a season of like Big Brother, where everyone's forming alliances, right? I mean, it's just reality TV in general. That's pretty funny.
Tyson could give us
pickleball
some
in general
insight there.
is.
A
Yeah.
trade house, and all the players are in one house as they're being drafted, and then there's all the alliances, and it could be amazing.
I mean, I think the sport in general is reality TV right now. It's
really
like insane what's happening, and it's just like every week you're like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
For reals?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it, and it will be. I mean, it'll be all over TV soon enough. I think everything. Lee, what do you expect for before we move into all things DUPR and your role there and what DUPR is doing to change the game? What are your expectations for MLP in 2023? Tee it up for the fans. What are we going to see?
Hopefully, a lot of me acting like a fool.
Yes.
Good.
With occasional passing shots. If not, my PPR rep will take to social media. No, I'm excited for 2023. We've gone up to 16 teams. So we've got great ownership groups coming in, and there's more and more players coming into the pickleball space every month, it seems. Especially on the guys' side, right? I think on the women's side, we're a little slower coming into the program. The guy pros are coming in a lot faster. But I mean, it's just exciting. It's electric. The team atmosphere, the way the crowds get into it. I just think it's going to be one fun ride next year, and let's see what shakes out. It's new draft happening in December, so all new teams. So fingers crossed, right? This is when we all need to be in a house together and see who gets drafted.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Oh my gosh, I'm already thinking about our mixed championship that we're going to have, because with the story that we're going to tell is, you know, 2 MVPs that were traded the next year. So I got MVP last year, and my partner decided to go with a new younger guy to go play on the world tour. And then guess who did better this year?
See?
Casey
The MVP.
Patterson.
So,
always back
Lee and
to
I have
MVP.
this together.
Yes,
Yeah, you got to, exactly.
Lee, you talked about the guys getting into the pro game faster. What do you attribute that to? Is it just a larger population of guys trying to come in? Is there some something that's adaptation-wise easier for their game than the female competition?
No,
Why did you say that?
I think it's the, guys who have been playing pro tennis or in their mid-20s or just graduated from college are looking, and pickleball now has become a viable option for them. Right, that pro path hasn't been established like other sports as far as, going through all the ropes. Right now you can play well and jump into pro. And that's very unique for pickleball. That will change. Eventually the road to pro pickleball will be a lot harder, but I also think that, and this is going to sound really, I hope it doesn't sound sexist, but, mid-20s, women we tend to want to nest and think about having children. So that becomes a prohibitive factor to getting into the pro sport. We do have quite a few moms playing and competing very well. And I'd like to see the more attention pickleball gets, right? Because it seems like every other day it's in the news in a big way. Yeah. And the more attention it gets and the more eyeballs it gets, I'd like to see, with female athletes looking at pro pickleball as a very viable potential professional career and give it a shot and come in and maybe, delay having children a couple of years or, pushing it off a little bit and saying, hey, 23, 24, 25 is not old as a professional athlete. I can still give this a go. And I've got this one shot right now because there's very little barrier to entry into pro pickleball world.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So in essence, because of lifestyle choices, etc., there's more men still pursuing that path at that age after college, after a tennis career. Mm-hmm. They're still looking for something. Let's move into DUPR now.
Okay.
You are the strategic advisor, a strategic advisor or the strategic advisor?
I'm a strategic advisor, but I feel like I'm also the strategic advisor.
Okay.
I feel like
So,
self-appointed the strategic advisor.
So what I'm understanding is there's multiple strategic advisors, but you are the strategic advisor.
Yes.
I mean, you said it.
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
she teed that up perfectly.
Yeah, I get it. We all get it over here. How did you come into that role? Did they come to you? Did you go to them and be like, hey, I have some advising on strategy that I think you guys would really enjoy?
And then they said, we saw your passing shots and we'd like to take that advice. And
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly how it happened. No, it was, again, a series of fortunate accidents. Jill Braverman, the CEO of DUPR, she and I had been talking about some stuff. And Steve Kuhn and I had been talking about some stuff. And then Jill calls me up. And Jill and I were actually going to work on a couple of projects together, completely unrelated to DUPR and anything that we're doing now. And she's like, Lee, I just got off of the CEO position of DUPR. What do you think about coming on board as a strategic advisor? I know we talked about these things, but would you be open to this? And I'm like, sure, why not? Let's talk. Let me learn about DUPR. Let me understand everything that's going on. And here we are. That was a very short conversation that was had because I was in.
Okay. And no looking back.
No looking back.
We got some notes from you this morning, and it says, introduction of platinum tickets with an exclamation point. What is a platinum ticket, and how do I get some?
That was I was meant to text somebody else about that. And
oh, no.
How it went to you.
I don't know. Just bring it up. We're going to figure it out right here.
I'm like, okay, yes.
I need some platinum tickets.
Okay.
Looks like we're going with platinum.
Tickets. We're going platinum. So we sold 3 million records.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that platinum?
I think so.
I think over 1 million, right?
Okay,
yeah, it's like 1 million or something. Yeah.
I don't know.
Do people
is that
sell
what
records
it is?
anymore? Is that a thing?
Yeah,
I just
it
did
is.
Myself.
No, it's still a thing. My wife was like, let's clear out the house. We don't need any of this stuff. By the way, I'm starting a record collection. And I was like, hold up. Those two things do not work together. Yeah, but we have a record collection now, Lee, so it's still a thing.
I love it. Do you have the vintage record player?
We have no, they have modern ones.
No, but you need a vintage one to just go with,
Yeah, like next, yeah.
I know.
Work on that.
Come on.
I know.
We'll get you the MLP one. They're working on creating, they're restoring old ones.
Ooh, okay.
We have platinum ones to give you, so.
I want one.
Okay. No, so the platinum ticket is actually a thing, I promise.
Okay.
So next year we are going to be having 12 DUPR team regionals across the country. DUPR teams are based on MLP format. So there's DUPR 12, DUPR 14, DUPR 16, and DUPR 18, which means that your 14 members DUPRs cannot exceed the number that you're playing in, right? At the start of the competition. Because if it's a multi-week, we understand that ratings sometimes go up a little bit. So the winner of each regional will win a platinum ticket to the national. So essentially direct entry into the national championship.
Oh, cool.
I will go on a limb here and say that we are floating the idea of giving the winner and the runner-up both platinum tickets. So the finalists automatically qualify for nationals. And then have some other wild card options in there. And then for the DUPR waterfalls, anybody who participates in a local or regional waterfall and wins automatically gets a platinum ticket to the waterfall nationals.
Okay. And what is a waterfall? Can you explain to people who maybe haven't heard that term before? How do people get involved?
A waterfall tournament is essentially you sign up for a tournament with your partner, and they'll take the top 8 DUPRs and put them in a bracket, and then following 8 DUPRs and following it, and so on and so forth. And essentially, you're playing a compass draw on steroids. So if you win, you move forward. If you lose, you go here. So then you end up with, you're going to have 2 teams or a bracket of 4 that have won everything. You're going to end up with a bracket that has lost everything, and then 2 wins, 2 losses, 3 wins, 1 loss, 3 wins, things like that. So it trickles down. So you're playing a minimum of 4 matches. So what we do in waterfalls is we guarantee you 4 matches in 4 hours. And there might be playoffs after that, but we're definitely guaranteeing you 4 matches. We're trying to change the way players look at tournaments. We're trying to get rid of the 2 and out club, which is, it's not fun. And we're also trying to get rid of the long day where you check in at 8 a.m. and at 8 p.m. you're still there. And you don't know when you're playing. This way, between 8 and 12, this is when your bracket is, and you will be done by 12 p.m.
One time I played one game at 8 a.m., and then I only played another game at 8 p.m. And then that was the last tournament I decided to ever go to.
It's
so true.
And I mean, Casey, all of us here have a heavy sports background. And like it or not, the older you get, you need to prepare your body. You want to get your body ready for competition.
Yeah.
So I can always guarantee I'm going to be great for that first match. But if I don't know when that second match is, it's
right.
It makes it rough. And then you do that again and again. And if I have 10 minutes between matches or 2 hours between matches, and then back to back, it just messes with your body. And, I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. I enjoy playing tournaments, but that's the aspect I don't enjoy.
I stopped playing in tournaments because of that. And then we would it's kind of funny. We would do our own round robins, like these waterfalls locally, and use DUPR to track everything.
I love it.
And that's all we do. We would be like, let's not drive 2 hours to Newport. Let's just stay here and recruit everybody close by, get 8 guys, and then we'll do our waterfall kind of, format.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
better.
DUPR could I don't know, what's your vision of the future with DUPR and how it can be like a liaison amongst all the professional leagues right now? Because I think that's one of the confusing aspects. I know we're not going to dive deep into any other aspects here, but having 3 major league pickleball leagues, essentially, not major league, sorry, 3 professional pickleball leagues. How can DUPR bridge the gap here and unify the sport in a way that it needs to for its trajectory to go the way that we think it can?
So I think, first of all, DUPR is a rating, not a ranking, right? So it's essentially a rating. It's like a golf handicap. It's based on you and how you play. And I think if we could use DUPR for all seedings, at tournaments, that will show a balanced bracket versus a slightly imbalanced bracket that sometimes you get. You're like, oh, why is this? It's like, we seed 1 and 2 or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 through 8 are out of a hat. Well, that sometimes causes an imbalance, or they seed 1 and 2, and then 3 through 8 are out of a hat. So you could have your 3rd and 4th seed essentially playing each other in a round, which is not good. So I think if we use DUPR for seedings, I think that will balance a lot of things out. And also one of the things that at DUPR with my team, what we were really targeted with doing was growing DUPR and pickleball internationally. So, at some point, the international side of the sport is going to grow. And how does somebody in the UK or Spain or Portugal know where they measure up to somebody in the US? I think for the first time, we're in this unique position of like setting that gold standard for everybody and they can measure up. And I'd love to see a world rankings where your top 10 are not US. I'd love to see a smattering of different countries in there. And, we're a few years away from that. Pickleball in the UK right now is about 5 years from where we were. They're now starting to build dedicated courts, etc. But if our end goal is to get this into the Olympics, DUPR can be very instrumental in being that governing universal rating to measure that everybody can measure themselves against.
So if there's a group of people playing pickleball in the UK and using DUPR, but there's no cross-pollination with the US DUPR users, won't that scale of skill be different, or is there a way that you can unify that without having to have the UK players play the US based players and vice versa? Or is that something that's just going to happen?
It's something that'll happen organically. So for example, right now in the UK, right, there's a lot of DUPR ratings for players. We are the official rating over there. And we went over there in July and played in their tournament to just also help legitimize everyone else's ratings, right? Because with DUPR, you don't just carry your rating, you carry your rating and all your matches of everybody you've ever played. So that it ends up being a lot more connectivity. So essentially with the transient nature of pickleball and how now people are so pickleball obsessed, they will go on pickleball vacations. People are looking for destinations to go where they can play pickleball. And DUPR is going to be really great in doing that because a 4-0 in Alabama right now is not the same as in Florida, not the same as in California.
Yeah.
But
so
a 4-2-3
true.
in DUPR is the same across the board.
Right.
Such
And
a
even
good
for
point.
like clinics and things like that, a lot of times people don't know what clinic to sign up for based on their skill level as well. So that will help all across the board, all levels, whether you're a tournament player or not.
Right. And
Yeah,
I mean,
it solves all problems.
Yeah. And I mean, we all know this. I mean, everybody elevates their rating at the club level and then plays down at tournaments.
Not me. I still play up at tournaments. That's why I only ever play two games.
Same. That's why I've never won a medal. I just want to go get destroyed.
But most people will be like, oh, I'm a 5-0. I'm a 5-0 at my club. And then you go see the tournament. I'm like, why are you playing 3-5? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Hey, dude. I just took a lesson from you. I thought you were 5-0.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Like that $2
It's
medal
so
is
funny.
so powerful.
It's so true. All for the medal. Like, I did it. I finally got my medal.
Like I've
They got a trophy room full of.
and their garage is like, look at all my medals. I'm like, you keep them? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yay.
Adorable.
You know that if you scrape that gold stuff off the outside of it, it's just pewter underneath there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
all
they
the
were
same.
chocolate.
Oh, that could
Oh.
be chocolate.
Like, I mean,
Some of them are
Play
chocolate.
down a lot if they were chocolate medals. I'd be like,
That would
Yeah.
be amazing.
That'd be worth
this was
it.
not built
Oh my
on chaos.
gosh.
Give me that $2.
Lee, chocolate's a superfood too, if you know about
Antioxidants,
flavonoids
yeah,
and
get- especially the
antioxidants and
dark,
stuff.
yep.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to use that phrase. I like chocolate.
Yeah.
Chocolate is my superfood.
It is a superfood.
Now it's become mine.
It's
The
your
advisor
superfood.
has her own,
I think-
exactly, her superfood.
We should find a sponsorship here. Your petty PR rep will be on top of that. I'll see what chocolate companies want to represent you.
Awesome.
I've got you. I've got a business opportunity here. I want to go back big picture again, real quick, because pickleball, we all love it, right? That's people listening to it, same reasons. One of my favorite, like for people that don't know the sport, one of my favorite ways to like describe why it's such a special sport and so cool and so fun. Like you're one of my examples that I use because what other sport could you have into your 40s on the court with a 15-year-old Georgia Johnson, with another 20-year-old guy, with another 40-year-old guy? You know what I mean? Like from across genders, from across age, like you're a big part of that. Like you're an inspiration for a lot of people. I know not a lot of people your age can necessarily do what you do. Obviously that, pro tennis background propels you to this point, but what's your perspective on the sport in general of just like how it unifies people across the board and the opportunity for guys to play with girls to play with guys, the age discrepancy? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I'm hard pressed to think of another sport. Like I keep trying to think of a sport where this is true, and pickleball is the only one that comes to mind. It's the first sport that really has transcended everything. You know, age, race, religion, white collar, blue collar, political, you name it, sex. You're out there to play. It's like you never know who's on the court with you, and it's sort of like, you know, people have their work life, they have their home life, and now pickleball is sort of occupying this third space of their life, and this is their big backyard where they go play. You know, if you've never played pickleball and you go down to the local courts, you'll end up with 300 friends you didn't know you needed or wanted.
So
right?
So true. Yes.
And it's become this sort of social connector, which I think has been very much needed, as you know, as we are in this age of technology and everyone's on their phone and very much we all have electronic leashes, and pickleball is it gives us, you know, for some people 2 hours, for other people 6 hours of uninterrupted.
Twice a day.
Yeah. Twice a day. You know, one more game happened 11 games ago. I'm still there.
Yeah.
But you know, it's what it's done for people on the social level. From you know, whether they're divorced or widowed, moved to a new town, they go there and you make friends and people are welcoming, and it's sort of a throwback to, you know, nicer times. And the pickleball courts are right. It's
so true.
There's no judgment. I mean, obviously there's always going to be, you know, your pickleball Nazis out there that are like, you can't be on this court, and it's like whatever. But for the most part, 99% of the people you can meet are welcoming, inclusive, and inviting. And one of the things I noticed is when I lived in Bend, when I first started playing pickleball, is, you know, Bend, a lot of people moved to Bend to retire, to have an active lifestyle, and guys who moved there were retired. And a lot of times for guys, their workplace defines who they are. They're very defined by work. Their friends are their work friends. So if you move, and then when that's taken away, it's a loss of an identity for the guy, and it really is. And
so true.
So
that's why I've always avoided working.
See, you are a smart man. No. If you never want to know who you are, don't work. No.
Wait, keep going. I like this tangent.
But the pickleball court, you know, it's like, and my friends would be like, oh my God, you know, my husband's complaining, you know, what are we doing tonight? And he's like, why am I the entertainment committee? And then they started playing pickleball, and then they drugged their husbands to play pickleball, and they started playing pickleball. And then all of a sudden, the husbands had their own group to play, and the women, you know, women were naturally more social creatures, and they'd always take care of themselves. But the guys would start playing, and then having, you know, beers afterwards, or going for a happy hour, or playing cornhole, lighting up the barbecue, you name it. And it gave them a social outlet that occupied at least half a day, which was huge and needed and filled a void in their lives. So that to me was really telling on how powerful this plastic ball is. This game that we play. I mean, it's so true. I know people who are going through all kinds of hardships. You know, and I'm the kind of person who will put my, you know, open mouth, insert foot. I'm like, sorry, can't retract that. You know, we had a guy show up to play with a fanny pack on. I'm like, let's bring back the 80s. You know, I'm like, love that. I'm like, are you attached to that thing? And he's like, actually, like, it's my heart pump. Keeping me alive. I'm on the transplant list. And I'm like, well done, Lee.
Oh, no. Did you still try to make him take it off?
Yeah, that thing. You know, and I'm like, well, you know, are you cleared to play? He's like, yeah, my doctor told me to play. He's like, I'm just enjoying life, and I'm just on a transplant list waiting for it, you know. And he's like, he was out there, you know. I know people going through chemo that nobody ever made them feel like they were sick when they were on the court. You know, you name it. There's so many stories like that all over the place that come out of pickleball, where it's like you can't help but sort of drink the Kool-Aid and want to be involved in it, because it truly is, at the recreation level, a phenomenal unifying sport. You know, and right now the amateur rec play is growing at a much faster rate than the pro play, and you know, and I think as pros, we'd be remiss not to recognize the fact that the only reason we have a platform and can play pro is because we have amateurs supporting us and lifting us up. You know, so if it wasn't for that, we would not have a platform. And that, I think every pro should have that at the forefront of their mind, no matter what. It's like, we are here because it started in an amateur game and they've elevated us.
Yeah. It's so cool.
So agree.
Love that.
Lee, before we close, I mean, it's hard to go anywhere better from where you just came from there. Where can we find all the information on the DUPR leagues and the platinum tickets and everything like that? Is that all available on DUPR's website right now?
It's all on DUPR's website. If you also Venmo me $20, I can get you the information.
Directly.
Yes. 100%.
Okay. What's your Venmo?
That.
No, but it's Casey Patterson 21.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, it's Mish McMahon.
There you go. If anybody wants information on if there's a club out there listening that wants to run a league or host a league and a waterfall or a DUPR teams, please email Lee at mydupr.com. And, I'll get you that information. That is not a bot email. It is my personal email at work. I promise I will reply. The app on the website, and then just contact me directly and myself and the great team that we have. We honestly have a phenomenal team and that is committed to growing this. So we will be in touch and give you all the information you need.
Perfect. Thank you. We can all go watch Lee's highlights on Major League Pickleball's YouTube channel. Every single event
immediately
that they've
after
ever held is available on there. So I encourage people to go watch, get hyped about the sport, and big things happening in 2023 with DUPR, the waterfall leagues, all that exciting stuff, fixing the amateur pickleball experience so that you are maximizing your time and energy and your love of pickleball, which is what we all want to do. Lee, thank you so much for being here. And like always, Michelle and Casey, you have to be here, but I'm glad that you are.
A pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a phenomenal way to spend my day.
Mine too. Okay. See you, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.